Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Friday Business Intelligence tip. Today's topic is going to be about a SQL Server topic around using cast or convert when converting data when you're writing reports. Over the years, I've been in this conversation many times, and the other day I was having a discussion with a report writer at one of our customers around when to use cast and when to use convert and what's the difference between the two. And for the most part, the answer is whenever you'd like to use between them. That's typically the answer. There are some subtle differences between them that you can use one in a different scenario or another. But what I'm going to do in today's session is demonstrate both of them, talk about use cases of when you must use one or the other, and then kind of go from there. So with that, I'm going to pop on over to my other screen and here's SQL Server Management Studio, which, as I've done sessions with you in the past, you've seen many times. And so all I'm going to do is type a SQL statement in here. Now, what these two functions do is they'll take a field or a string of text or something and convert it to a specific type. So for instance, if I do select cast, and I type in maybe a string that's a date. I'll say 01/12/2021 and then say as date. And if I execute this, it's going to give me the date that I've got down below here. So what the format is of cast is the word cast, the string or the field that you're working with, and then the data type that you're casting it to. Now, the difference between, and I'll do the same statement with convert. Let's do select convert. And this one, you put what you're converting it to first, and then the string. So I'll say 012/2021. If I execute that, we get the same values for both of them. So the difference between cast and convert is cast, you put the field first and you say as the field you're converting it to, whereas convert, you put the data type that you're converting it to and then your string. Now, the difference between these two is cast is an ANSI standard function. So anytime you're going to want to do SQL across database platforms or anything like that, you'd want to use cast. Convert is a SQL Server function. I primarily work with SQL Server, so I typically can go back and forth between these two without a problem. But if you're just doing SQL Server, you can just use convert if you want, or you can use cast. Some people think that the cast format is a little bit easier to understand because you're taking your field and you're saying as rather than a comma, parameterized function. But it's really just a personal preference. Now, as far as performance goes, that's a common question I get. And if you search the internet, you're going to find all kinds of arguments back and forth about, from a performance perspective, which should I use? Should I use cast or should I use convert? And for the most part, it really doesn't matter. Most of the time, tests I've done and I've seen online are pretty much insignificant on the difference between them. There are a few cases where you'll find certain length strings or things like that cast will perform better, or in the case of dates, convert performs better. But you're really not going to see a major difference. So if you get into an argument about it from a performance perspective, for the most part, it's going to be a wash, and people do feel passionately one way or another. And I think it's one of those, traditional tales that people have heard something one way and they think in their mind it's right. But the reality is there's very little difference between the two from a performance standpoint. Now, I mentioned that you use cast whenever you're going to do cross-database SQL. One way that you can use convert is there's one additional parameter that convert provides to you that it doesn't provide on cast. And that is, I can say I want to convert this maybe to a character. I can put comma and then a formatting function or a style function is added to the end. And I shouldn't even call it a style function. It's an argument really that's on here. So for instance, on dates, I could say 101. There's different format numbers, and you'll just have to look online for the reference of this because there's many of them. But if I execute this, you're going to see the format of the date that we had before was like the cast 2021, but now you'll notice it's 01/12/2021. If you need to convert a string to a different format, so dates are one that I do an awful lot. So like I could say 120 in this, and I can get the same thing. 111, I think, maybe a different one. Get that. You get zero padded on some you don't get zero padded. And there's a whole bunch, like I said, that you can use within it to get different formats, whether you want long date, short date, do you want the year, month, day, that kind of thing. So it just gives you different arguments on there. So besides dates, other kind of style formats are around, let's say money formatting or other things, but it's the same concept. I'll do a variable here so you can see what I'm talking about. If I declare a SQL variable that I'll call my value as a money data type, so I get a field that's a money and say it's like equal to, I don't know, 10,057 cents, something like that. If I do select convert and then I put character and I'll say my value into that, and then I put a, if I don't do anything on the styling, if I just run this right now, you'll see it gives me my value that I had up there. But there, if I do style like a 1 on that, now you'll notice there's 1,000 separator in there. So there's different style numbers that will show in different ways, depending on if you want to use thousands separators or decimals, that kind of thing. So you can use this to do a lot of different formatting. So the difference between the cast and the convert in this case is convert does have some style properties that, like I said, the only two data types I typically use it with are either dates or numbers, where I want to control the commas and the thousands or not, that kind of thing. So you'll get to the same. So whenever you're using cast or convert, you can use either one. Cast, the format is the field as the value. Convert is the data type, comma, and then the value that you're doing. But in either case, don't get into too deep an argument about performance or usage, in that they will both pretty much get you what you need when you need it. So if you do need to send us any suggestions about what a future session we can do, feel free to send it at info@dashboardgear.com. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep putting out different topics that I hear during the week from some of our customers where they're looking for answers, and I'll just keep putting these out here. So until next time, thank you for joining us, and good luck on your reporting needs.